Caricom Day is celebrated in Guyana and in many other Caribbean countries who are a part of the economic cooperation known as the Caribbean Community, Caricom. It is a public holiday celebrated on the first Monday in July. The day itself commemorates the treaty establishing the Caribbean Community, Caricom, under the Treaty of Chaguaramas, signed on the 4th of July 1973. Some obvious questions naturally are, why was a treaty needed and who were the other partners? Here's a quick history lesson. It was the government of Trinidad and Tobago that first proposed the idea of a Caribbean community, not only consisting of Caribbean islands but also of the three Guyanas as the islands of the Caribbean Sea. Dialogue started in 1963 and in 1965, which saw the leaders agreeing to form the Caribbean Free Trade Association, CARIFTA, which was later formalized in 1968. Member nations at the time included Guyana, Antigua, Barbados, and Trinidad and Tobago, soon to be joined by Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts, Nevis, Anguilla, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Jamaica, and Montserrat. Belize joined in 1971. A year later, Guyana, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, and Barbados, considered the more developed countries within CARIFTA, agreed to deepen the integration process, forming the Caribbean Community and Common Market, CARICOM. One of CARICOM's founding fathers, Ferbs Burnham, then Prime Minister of Guyana, at the official conference, the plan for the implementation of economic integration said, quote, "Either we integrate or perish," end of quote. Integrate or perish. Either we wield ourselves into a regional grouping serving primarily Caribbean needs, or lacking a common positive policy, have our various territories and nations drawn hitter and titter into and by other large groupings where the peculiar problems of the Caribbean are lost. This is the naked truth. Either we integrate or we perish, unwept, unhonored, end of quote. CARICOM came into being on the 4th of July 1973 with the signing of the Treaty of Chaguaramas by the Prime Ministers Errol Barrow for Barbados, Ferbs Burnham for Guyana, Michael Manley for Jamaica, and Eric Williams for Trinidad and Tobago. The treaty was later revised in 2002 to allow for the eventual establishment of a single market and a single economy. CARICOM rests on four main pillars: economic integration, foreign policy coordination, human and social development, and security. These pillars underpin the stated objectives of the community to improve standards of living and work, the full employment of labor and other factors of production, accelerated, coordinated, and sustained economic development and convergence, expansion of the trade and economic relations with third states, enhanced levels of international competitiveness, organization for increased production and productivity, achievement of a greater measure of economic leverage, effectiveness of member states in dealing with third states, group of states, and entities of other description, and the enhanced coordination of member states' foreign economic policies and enhanced functional cooperation. CARICOM has 15 members, 5 associate members, and 8 observers. Let's backtrack a bit on the establishment of the single market and economy. Here's what President Granger had to say when asked about it during the 38th Conference of Heads of Government.
The single market and economy is the single most important, most ambitious project of the community, in 44 years. So I attach great significance to it and its success. It is difficult to say how we would exist as a community without CSME. It affects our single domestic space, it affects single internet and communication space, it affects our single security space, it affects everything. And to the extent that CSME doesn't work well, means that the community would fail to achieve its objective. We have been at it for a very long time, and I feel that part of the problem is the sheer size of the community. It's over 3,000 kilometers between Nassau and Paramaribo, and transportation has always been a big problem. Traditionally, the Caribbean has been penetrated by commodities, particularly in the hospitality industry from the bigger countries, United States, United Kingdom, Canada. And because of our plantation economies, we never really developed a sufficiently wide base for local produce. So we need to overcome those cultural and geographical barriers. We need to trust each other more, buying Jamaican products or Vincentian products or Trinidadian products. And we're working perhaps a little bit slowly towards that goal. I'm very hopeful.
Let's take a look at the Caricom Secretariat. It is the principal administrative organ of the community. It is headed by a Secretary General and broadly organized into 3 offices and 3 directorates. The 3 offices of the Secretariat are the Office of the Secretary General, Office of the Deputy Secretary General, and the Office of the General Counsel. The 3 directorates of the Secretariat are Foreign and Community Relations, Regional Trade and Economic Integration, and Human and Social Development. The Caricom Secretariat Headquarters building is located at Turkine, Greater Georgetown in Guyana. Ground was broken for a new Caricom Secretariat Headquarters on February 25, 1998 at Liliendal, Turkine, and the building was officially handed over to the Caricom Secretariat on the 15th of July 2005. The Secretariat officially commenced operations in the building on the 26th of July 2006. The original home of the Caricom Secretariat and its precursor, the Carifta Secretariat, was at the Colgreen House, specifically the southern half of the building, while the other half was used as the residence of the Secretary General on Camp Street in Georgetown, Guyana. The Secretariat was also housed in the 3rd floor of the Bank of Guyana building, home of the Central Bank of Guyana, located in the heart of Georgetown during the period 1969. So now that you know a little about Caricom, let's take a look at the Conference of Heads of Government. It is the highest decision-making body or organ of Caricom and consists of the Prime Ministers of all member states of the Caribbean Community, except in the case of Guyana, Suriname, and Haiti, where it consists of the Executive President, and in the case of Montserrat, the Chief Minister. The primary responsibility of the conference is to determine and provide the policy direction for the community. It is the final authority for the conclusion of treaties on behalf of the community and for entering into relationship between the community and international organizations and states. The conference is also responsible for making the financial arrangements to meet the expenses of the community. Decisions of the conference are greatly taken unanimously. In 2017, Guyana hosted the 38th Conference of Heads of Government meeting in Georgetown. While delivering his remarks at the opening, President Granger noted that the determinants which brought all of the 15 countries together will advance their interests on 4 pillars. This, he reiterated, were integration, human and social development, and trade and foreign policy coordination. He said that without these, the community could collapse if these pillars were shaken. President Granger had also sounded a warning that Caricom cannot cling to an obsolete model of narrow-mindedness in light of international changes. He had also used the opportunity to call for the adaptation of a green agenda which can help to protect the community from the threat of environmental hazards and natural disasters.